Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Brian Winnikin. So we are at Commodity Classic in San Antonio. Thank you to our broadcast sponsors, including the Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, Annabis Silo, Mycogen Seeds, Matt Carl is our representative in Wisconsin, also Lacrosse Seeds, and Compeer Financial with locations in Mondovi, Arcadia, and Baldwin. Joining us is Bill Johnson. He is with Farm Credit Services, and we're going to talk a little bit about the 2020 outlook. And Bill, thank you for joining us. Last year was a tough year, but there's some expectations that things will be better this year.
Well, I think as you think about 2019, a lot of things happened. There was weather challenges, marketing challenges, the economic cycle that we're in. But at the same time, a large percentage of farm credit customers actually ended up making money last year. And as you think about 2019 and kind of surviving to advance, 2020, as we look at that, it's still, I think, it's cautious optimism. But we see the environment from an economic standpoint of actually, I think, starting the year off, I don't know if I go all the way to positive, but at least better than maybe we were a year ago or thought we would be this year.
Yes, we've had some trade agreements that have been signed and that sort of thing. Of course, now all of a sudden we get that curveball, the coronavirus, and that probably has some underlying concerns for everyone.
I think it does. As you think about what's happened in the stock market this past week, as you look at the impact on interest rates going forward, just the uncertainty alone is very challenging. You combine that with some of the international trade issues, and I think the general feeling right now is one of concern, but really not knowing the extent of what the epidemic is going to turn into.
We're talking with Bill Johnson with Farm Credit Services. So, Bill, for farmers really all over the country, but in Wisconsin, we've been leading the way with farm bankruptcies. It has been, especially for the dairy industry, a very stressful time. What should farmers be doing when they go into Compeer Financial, when they're getting ready for spring planting? They should, I've always said, talk with your lender first, because there's a lot of things that they can do.
Yeah, I think our advice is talk to your lender early and often. And the better the communication is both ways, and the earlier those conversations happen, there's many more options for a farmer to be able to survive and go forward with the coming cycle. When you talk about farm stress, that's something that Farm Credit's very sensitive to. And in fact, we've just recently moved into a partnership with Farm Bureau and National Farmers Union to really extend some training that Michigan State put together as far as helping farm families work through stress and really identify that types of stress so that they can seek out some professional help and kind of work through the situations.
So, Bill, is this similar to the QPR training that we've had with Pepin County Human Services, and we've helped to sponsor some of those QPR classes? Is it kind of similar to that?
I think there are some similarities. I think the biggest piece of it is identifying stress and identifying the impact of that in order to be able to find someone to talk to. And many times there are options, but when it's your individual farming operation, especially if you're multiple generations, as you see in a lot of places in Wisconsin, there's just a lot of emotion goes with that. And finding ways to really set a plan in motion that you can look at your options and really think through that. And one of the things with Farm Credit, being a cooperative, being customer owned, it's a big piece of who we are to actually help farm families. And so having those conversations, being able to point people in the right direction for resources is a huge part of being a Farm Credit member.
Talking with Bill Johnson with Farm Credit Services. So with this training, the not only is this something for farm families but also for the folks like at Compeer Financial, they can help with some of this stuff too, to identify some of those issues?
And that's a big piece of it, is looking for signs, helping people understand there are many resources out there, but knowing where to access. And it's something, if you're in the middle of a crisis, just knowing a phone number that you could call to maybe talk through a situation and then start to explore alternatives as to how you might work through a current financial situation.
And that's the other big thing for farmers when they come into Compeer Financial and work with the lenders. Those folks, they have a lot of products and they have a lot of ways that maybe we can help. They can help out because it isn't. It is bad. I totally understand, but it's not so bad that it could lead to something terrible.
I totally agree. And I think one of the things, again, Farm Credit has a lot of flexibility in helping customers work through short-term financial crisis. And I think farmers have done a lot of really positive things in controlling cost, looking at making sure all of their operations are profitable, and really doing those risk management things that will help them survive current economic challenges, but it also positions them to be able to have better conversations with their lender in a way that everyone understands what the situation is and looking for alternatives.
So again, farmers, don't hesitate to contact your representative at Compeer Financial, again in Mondovi, Arcadia, and also in Baldwin. We're at the 2020 Commodity Classic in San Antonio. I'm Brian